I lost it for a minute in the light, and then last second it came to me. I just put my hand on the ground, and I don't know how I caught that, but caught it. Never give up on the play. Just go score.
Yeah, how big was that moment too in the first half? The second half, it was really a couple seconds.
Yeah, that's real big. Score before the half, come out in the second half, and then put up another score. They'll be real big and trying to control the game that way. That's big.
Their offense has been one of the best in the league. You have a feeling coming in, you guys are going to have to get up some of those splash plays and sort of, you end up getting ahead of them, sort of keep pace with that offense.
Yeah, we knew we had to stay in front of them guys, and we know how explosive that offense is. And, we kind of did our thing for a little minute, and they kept fighting, and we kept fighting, and, we came out victorious on it.
Kenny, on that catch, can you describe the degree of difficulty on the catch? Like, how do you compare, how do you make a play?
Man, I don't know. I just think it takes unbelievable concentration, knowing that you have to come back to the ball. What I did was I tried to draw a flag. If the ball was going to be too far, I tried to draw a flag, but at the same time, I tried to come back to the ball, and it just sat in my hands, and I just caught it and went and scored.
And you make that catch, couple on the play, Jaylen goes twice for 45 yards, and someone said, "Say, he's running back there."
Yeah, this running back room is special. I talked about that a lot, and I don't think we get the credit that we need to. We haven't been doing what we need to do early on in the season, but it don't matter. It takes us doing what we have to do now and here in December, and then going into the playoffs and being real strong in that.
And most rushing yards, I think, in 9 years. Is there any one thing that's kind of working?
The offensive line. The offensive line did their job. Us getting into great calls off the defenses they had, and we just ran the ball strong, and there's nothing else we can say about that. The offense did a great job at just running the ball and us doing our job.
When you catch that ball, you have the ability to get up. Did you just getting up to just get up and run the ball there? Did you know we didn't touch you?
That just go with knowing the rules. Knowing if you catch a ball, get up and go score. No matter if I'm running the ball and I fall down, I know I have to get up and I'm not touched down. So I know I have to get up and go and score. I didn't know if he touched me or not, but I got up and finished.
The left side of that offensive line undrafted. So those guys that sort of come from practice squad. Can you speak to how they stepped up?
Yeah, they stepped up big time. I feel like them guys really came in and held their own. We got a little help for Dylan on the left side, but at the same time, we did our job. Those guys did real good, and we still got a lot more to go.
Describe the emotions of that last call. Was it huddling up and you don't know? How do you describe what it was like on the sideline?
On their defense, when we was on defense, I don't think I even looked at the field. I was like, dang, I hope they don't score. And then I seen a bunch of flashes come out. I was like, oh, what's going on? And then, we got the call, OPI, and, it just finished it. I was I was confused for a minute, but at the same time, man, I'm happy we got this win. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Touchdowns came around the left end. We had a wood sprint left tackle and a backup left guard. What does that say about the depth of the guys on the line?
It says everything. Both those runs, I believe I was untouched. And, running behind those guys, it's a blessing.
Ever got your 45-yard touchdown runs the same game?
I haven't in the league, no.
Did you guys know that, or maybe think that you were going to have some splash plays in this game because that's such a high score?
Oh, yeah, we knew what kind of game it was going to be. Watching film, they're, obviously explosive on their side, so we knew what we had to bring to the table.
We've asked about your relationship with Kenny. What's it like after a game that you guys both have explosive plays to do?
It just, we talk about it all week. What we got to bring to the table, December ball. it takes what it takes, and so for it to show out today it's huge.
Yeah, that big drive, 9 minutes, jump in, you get the field goal. Then you get the ball back, and I think it's something like that. What's to say about your offense? You can kind of have success in it. You can grind it out when you have to. Then you can also hit the big plays that way.
It says, I think it says a lot. We don't ever get down by the last play, however it may have looked. The best play is always the next play, and that's how we play.
What made the tandem of you and Kenny work so well today against Detroit?
I guess you could say we're both, ballers. Kenny, you see what Kenny brings to the table. That's my dog right there, and seeing him succeed, it means a lot.
What was the mood like before we ended the game, the week, and any idea what was going on? What's the inside on the sideline? Do you guys think we won the game?
It took me about 2 minutes to figure out if we won or not. People on our side were celebrating, so I was just celebrating with them, hoping we won.
Those two big plays that you had, how much were they similar and how much were they different? Obviously, you did your interval and then you broke out. Did you kind of take through those?
Yeah, it just goes to our preparation throughout the week. I knew what kind of look, we knew what look we were going to get, so Aaron made the right call. It goes back to Art Smith. I just, like I said, I believe I went and touched on both plays, so I just read the amazing blocks that the O-line and the tight end receivers made.
In that gap, did you start to see daylight? When do you know? When do you know
Game what?
like that touchdown? When do you know?
I guess you don't know. You just run. You just run, and I look back, which I need to stop doing. I look back when I'm running, and just see if anybody's close. But you just run, and hope you don't get tackled. Sometimes I've done that. Yeah. It works.
What's this way to say?
We adversity. No matter what's thrown our way, or we have an answer for it. And tough times don't separate us; it brings us closer.
First one was exact adversity. With all the turnovers we've had in the offensive line, how has he kept things together and then sort of part of it?
Zach is, that's amazing center, and I'm glad to have him on our side. You watch the tape, you see a lot about what he's about, and that's the person he is. I talked to Montgomery, respect for his game, respect to Gibbs too, but I talked to Montgomery.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, Dave. Thank you.
We don't apologize for winning. We don't care how it's done. But I'm really thankful all the men in our locker room. It's a group effort, and I think that's the way we like it. Strong tackling all across the board. The attention to detail, staying in our gaps. You do that. Hopefully, we can build on it. It's something that's got to be a staple for us going forward. Very important. They were dealing with some injuries. Younger guys. We talk a lot about myself, Keanu, Derek Harmon, Y.A. Black, Azezi, you name it. We all got to be responsible for the interior pressure. We were leaking a little bit on the outside, so it really came down to us. Well, we heard the whistle blown, so I didn't even see that Jared had the ball, so there was a lot going on there, and I was just asking for clarification on everything, but they weren't willing to share with me, so just kind of had to wait like everybody else.
Were you confused, or did you thought you won?
I thought we won. When when he blew it dead, we kind of just stopped after that. So after that, I kind of just checked out.
It was the second straight game for time of possession. Just all three guys speak with offenses play rushing.
Offense kicked a lot of ass today. Finished a lot of downhill runs. Can't say enough about our running game or what our running backs are providing, especially in the pass game too. That Kenneth Gainwell touchdown really jolted us, and have a quarterback like 8 that really dices teams up, and the offensive line is playing very well. Tight ends are moving around, doing a lot of different things, but they're all contributing.
You guys got the touchdown right before the half, long drive, turnover, come in negative 3 yards. Talk about that for us. Still remind me to play better.
So one thing I have to explain, at the beginning of the game, Aaron looked at me because I definitely messed up. I was supposed to take the ball instead of, and I deferred. And they gave me a lot of shit for it. But we were able to correct that, and throughout the game, it kind of paid dividends being able to double dip before the half and then get the ball. But that defensive sequence, getting points. I thought the third quarter we played very well.
Yeah, what was it like having Derek Foreman back in the lineup for you guys?
D-Harn battled his way back. His win was important for him. To come back and play in your hometown, a place where you wanted your mom to see you play. He said that to us last night. And as a group of brothers, we really wanted to get that done for him. Yeah, we're tough on Jack. We don't want Jack just thinking it's going to be easy as Ohio State. So we lean into him a little bit, but that's just to prepare him. And I thought he did a really good job today, setting the edge, communicating, him and Alex, and then bringing on Jeremiah Moon back into the fold was big for us.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you, guys.
All right, let's open it up. Aaron, what's the we'd like to add for the offense got answering in the second half? Surviving coming in there. What's to say about your
Yeah, I was proud of our guys. Some games the defense has stood on its head and given us a chance, and a few times we've done it, and tonight was one of those times where we just kept answering, starting with the 2-minute drive and then the first half, an unbelievable catch by Kenny. If it's just PI, it's 3 points, but to catch it, somehow get his hand on the ball, get up and score was incredible. And our other back, might have heard of him. He had a hell of a game too. But I thought the line did a really nice job. We settled in. I thought Art called an incredible game. And there's still more out there. Quez had a chance for a touchdown. DK had a touchdown. We got called back. We had other opportunities on the fake sneak. It looked like we could have scored, but I thought Art got into a good rhythm, especially in the second quarter on, and we executed really well on the line, settled in, and blocked their asses off. Yeah, it still doesn't take the cake. I was unfortunately on the field for the Hail Mary game.
What was the last minute like for you on the sideline, especially during that review? What kind of conversations were you having during that?
I was trying to read Carl's lips and see what he was saying, and I saw him mouth OPI end of the game, so I felt pretty confident that was what was going to happen, but you never know. It's more time, and like I said, I was there for the Hail Mary game. I was standing from me to you from the replacement refs as they caved to the pressure of an angry Seattle field when that was obviously not simultaneous possession. So I was glad that it ended up like that. Wild game. Glad we're on top.
Aaron, I mentioned your offensive line. Two guys left, considering they're not starters, and just getting games.
Yeah, I thought they played fantastic, and AP was in there for a little bit as well because Spence was a little banged up, but I just really enjoy Dylan's energy and his confidence in the huddle. Thought he played really damn good. I ran into a sack on the keeper early, so I was pissed about that, especially because it's Hutch and don't want to get him going. But I felt like we settled in really well and ball was coming out. But there were times we had to hold it and guys held up and we took some shots down the field. But there was a number of third down conversions that really stemmed the tide, allowed us to get to 70 plays in the game, 8 for 16 on third down. Some checks at the line of scrimmage that, ball to Adam, fourth down to Scotty. I think Scotty came in with 1 catch, I believe, on the season. Had 3 tonight, including a big third down on the sideline with a toe tap, a fourth down on an inbreaker. So I'm really proud of Scotty, and Adam obviously made some big plays for us too. I figured that I missed a side conversation between him and Mike T because Mike T came to me and said, "Are you good if we take the ball?" I said, "Yeah, for sure." So we went out there, and Cam, he's real territorial about he's the one who gets to call it, and so I'm fine, I don't care. But we win the toss, and he goes, "Defer." I looked at him and said, "What?" In my head, I didn't say it out loud because I was like, "Oh, I don't want to act like I wasn't in the conversation," But then we jogged over, and he said, "I blacked out. I don't know." I said, "Hey, Head, I thought we were taking the ball." He goes, "I just blacked out." Okay.
It didn't seem like a third quarter of 15 minutes of possession for you. What went right there for you?
Third down conversions. Now, we were also not great in the red zone. We had our chances. We had penalties, like Spence lining up offsides on offense is a bad penalty. The OPI, was a miscommunication there on the release pattern that could have been a touchdown. So we had our chances for sure, and then obviously, we didn't convert on the third down at the end of the game after we'd kind of answered. But proud of our guys and the way, second half, no 3 and outs, I don't believe, and it was time-consuming drives. We held the ball for 34 minutes, I believe. That's winning football.
These guys knocked you out in the playoffs with your last game that Lambeau.
What?
These guys knocked you out in the playoffs. Your last game as a Packer at Lambeau Field. Would that stick with you? And I think consider this maybe a little revenge, considering you're pretty much maybe did the same thing.
Pretty much, and maybe they're not eliminated. Different story. I've had some fun games over the years here. They had a fierce defense in the 2010s with some guys whose names you know. Obviously, 2015 is always going to stick out as a special night. But I'm thankful for the years here. I will say, man, kudos to the fans. That was a real loud environment. I remember back in 2005, it wasn't like this. So kudos to staff and the organization and the fans for showing up and being loud, because I lost my voice out there, and it's because of the noise they were creating.
Were you thinking that Kenny had caught that pass at the end of the first half? And then
I saw the PI. I did not think he caught it, and I would not have expected him to have not been touched down either. That's why I said to Carl, I said, Shepard's the white cap. I said, it's really props to the back judge, the side judge, for not blowing that dead, because it looked in real time. I was standing obviously 50 yards away. It looked like an incomplete pass or had been touched down, but to keep the play going and allow it to go to a touchdown in order to review it is really good refereeing.
Share something on the toss play touchdowns.
I saw him running clean, and I did absolutely nothing. Now, I may have made the right check, but it was, anybody could have done that. It was like me on the sneaks. I don't do a whole lot as long as I don't mess it up. But like I said, I really enjoyed the way the Art called the game, and not even that 4th and 1 where we faked it and handed off to Kenny the other way. I thought that was a great call. We had 4th and 3, and he said, "What do you want to do?" I said, "Let's go for it." And we called the base play. But Scotty Miller is at the number 2 in the slot, which I was teasing Scotty. I said, good thing we had so many reps in that third down one he caught where he kind of ran like fade into stop out of bounds and toe tap. It's a good thing we had so many reps this week on that with you and I, because we had absolutely none. But, a pro is a pro is a pro, and he was ready to play with Calvin. Obviously something happened to him, and proud of Scotty and Adam's, contributions tonight.
Aaron, can you feel the confidence building the line in front of you? You got the best view of those guys.
Yeah, it's fun to play with those guys. one of the smartest groups I've been with. They're great with the cadence. They're great with the protection. They make my job really easy. They got a real nice way about them as far as their demeanor and energy. Never get too high or too low. It's like there's not a whole lot that's said. I've had some wild, crazy offensive lines who were energetic and couldn't keep their mouth shut. One of the guys is here working for the Lions now, T.J. Lang, who's an absolute warrior. But the line we had with those guys, they were a wild group of dudes. This is a more quiet group, but they're tough. They're really tough, and they really care about it, and makes my job easy.
Aaron, there was one pass that you had to Darnell Washington in the fourth quarter to the right flat. It appeared that you threw a number pass. Was that the case?
Yes.
And what is the reason for that? Were you trying to hold a certain linebacker?
Well, the one I threw him on the goal line, it was a different end, I believe, but it looked like he almost touched it. The one that he fumbled. So on this one, I looked out, almost checked out of it just because Hutch was out there and it seemed like they had a bunch of guys. But I feel like if I gave a good fake and we kind of took the top off the coverage, that we would have a chance there on the to Darnell. But when I came out, the way they were playing that slam play is they were really widening out with the Y. So I knew that after Darnell kind of slipped him, the angle that Hutch would be on, I had to kind of take my eyes inside. So it's not the first time, not the last.
Aaron, why do you think Jaylen and Kenny work so well as a team?
Well, they got a good skill set, both of them. They're both really good runners. They're elusive. But I got to give those guys a lot of credit. They're playing freaking kickoff, which is, that's like a real play now. Then they're obviously got different roles. Kenny's been unbelievable in the passing game, just unbelievable. And he's so damn smart. I was telling him I wish I played with him for 10 years just because the kind of player that he is. Like, you just love playing with that guy. And then Jaylen is as sweet as they come, and he's such a decisive runner as well. But, I think he would be the first one to say it. There was some pretty damn big holes for those touchdown runs, and we caught him in a good coverage. On the one, we ran weak side, kind of lead. It was man covers, and DK went in the block, and two guys went with him. So by the time Jaylen got out there, there was nobody there. The other one was just a toss sweep that, we blocked up really well. But line deserves a lot of credit.
Two more. As you put it last week, outside role, kind of expect whatever they want about this team going forward. But what do you think it says about this team, the Jets coming here, hostile environment, against the best team to get this win?
Well, it's been playoff-type football for us the last 3 weeks. We had to win to take the lead in the division. We had to win to shut down a team that had won 4 in a row and was hot, shut down their playoff hopes, and we had to win against a team with a lot of pride that's played an NFC Championship game in the last couple of years. So it says a lot about the kind of guys that we got. It says a lot about the leadership, the organization, and the players. I felt like the week of practice was good, but I think coming off a short week, there were some guys that were a little gassed, and in a game like this, you need some sort of splash play, and I felt like Keanu getting the sack early was kind of one that got the energy going for us, and then we obviously had a lull, but the Kenny play changed the whole complexity and direction of the game. So again, you never know what that play is going to be that's going to get things rolling, and that was the play that turned the tide for us on offense.
Last one here.
What was it like hearing the crowd go from cheers to groans that quickly at the end there?
Hate to see it.